dropping biology because every time she goes to class, she will abuse black people. And one day I will beat her and he will chase me out of school. So I better drop biology and finish my education.
So why not make a change in your decision after making that confession? Because the huge, it was bold, you were bold to have come out to say that.
Well, she cried. I don't know why she was abusing blacks, and I don't know if my saying so will change her. And definitely knowing the school, a mission school, indiscipline cannot be tolerated. So I know that if I continue with the biology, there will be a big indiscipline from me and I will be sent out of school. So I better part with that subject and remain in school.
So this substantiates the fact that teachers could also make pupils, students, not to be very attentive to some particular subjects based on their manner.
Oh, sure. That I agree with.
Interesting. So your dream of being a medical doctor was shattered by the conduct of
that
the white
American lady. Yes.
And at the end of the day, you had to now go. Would it be right for me to say you were forced to take the second choice?
Yes.
Teaching.
Yes.
So how's teaching, the teaching profession been to you? Because I know you spent a lot of time in the teaching profession. You also taught in TC, Potty School. You taught in Titcomb College, that's in the southern part of
NYSC.
Okay, and you were also at the College Preliminary Study Yola, which is where you spent most of your time.
The rest of my teaching career.
So what's the experience been like to you?
Yeah, I never regretted choosing teaching because I know if people come to the world twice, if I come the second time, I will still be a teacher. Yeah, and the reason is, you see, teaching, you are molding people. When you see somebody you help to grow, it's now very useful to himself and to the society, very useful to herself and to the society. You find pleasure in it, just as you get completely annoyed when you see somebody you taught cannot take care of himself, either has become a drunkard or somebody who is just careless about his life. You feel it because when I see such of my students, I see myself as a failure, because I always tell fellow teachers, you see, these people are brought to us because they don't know. So when a student fails the exam and you say it's his fault, I don't see how it is his fault. He didn't know, so he was brought to you to make him know. So if he fails, you too as a teacher have failed.
Now, the challenges that we see with education today in Nigeria, could it be attributed to the failures of teachers? Because we see performance has dropped over time. And even today, what you get on media and when you see people do analysis is the fact that they tell you there is this wide gap in terms of performance today when compared to of old. Now, could this largely be attributed to the failures of teachers?
Now it's a combination of many things. One, the overcrowding in classroom. Teachers, no matter how good they are, they cannot give the necessary attention required for good teaching. And secondly, that attitude of laziness has also crept into education, and teachers would prefer spending time in the staff room than going to the class. And I know I had colleagues who will go to class, 1 hour lecture, they will spend 30 minutes telling stories and 30 minutes teaching the real subject. So in that case, it is the fault of the teacher. But the environment too is hostile. The facilities for education are no longer there, and the population has gone high, so that teachers cannot handle a class. So I cannot blame teachers alone, but definitely teachers have their own share. If the teachers have down chalk, if you don't reduce this class, we will not teach. The government might have done something else.
So the policymakers also have their own fair share of blame on this.
Sure, they have.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about the teacher. I know before now, what the situation we have in Nigeria is that of where teachers see their reward coming from heaven. But today, the reverse is the case. They want to have their own fair share today. They want to eat it right now. And that, in a way, has affected education in the country. Now, why do you think we came to a point where teachers, after the gains, immediate gains they can get, not really doing what is right?
Yeah, that's societal. Nigerian society today believes that whatever work you do, you must get side income other than what you are being paid. That is the corruption. I always tell my colleagues, look, as long as teachers are paid their salary, I don't see teachers discriminated upon than the other workers, because teacher's salary scale is the same as any other civil servant. The only place where teachers are maybe cheated is these days when government does not care to pay their salary. I understand, I don't know how far true, that in Adamawa State, primary school teachers have not been paid since January. You don't expect a teacher to put in his best in that kind of situation.
They've even resorted to prayers, and they had to pray to seek the face of God to intervene in this particular matter that you've just raised. Well, we'll talk about the place of commercialization of education, but I would want to leave you to see this particular piece. It's a surprise. I'm not going to tell you the name of the person. I just want to surprise you.
Okay.
So you see this piece and you see who had to speak about you, and then we'll come back to talk some more about it.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look.
I work at Garba Michelia, a lecturer in the Department of International Studies, and currently I'm the head of the Department of IJMB. It's a program affiliated to Ahmadu Bello University's area, and I'm also the exam officer for the Department of International Studies. Sabia is well known to me, and he's almost a mentor, because while I came in here in 1989, I met him as a lecturer in mathematics department. He was handling mathematics, and actually I have learned a lot from him as a person, as an academician, and as a colleague. It is obvious that at a point in time we became a family friend, because a brother is marrying one of their daughters. So that is the linkage, and that bond remains up to today. If I could recall, I think then the institution was growing. It was growing gradually when he took over, and in fact he laid the foundation of what becomes Adamawa State Polytechnic, because at that particular period there are a lot of courses that were not being run, and he was able to introduce them. There are a few courses that had to be accredited, and he was able to do that. And in fact, he has been carrying people along then. He's a great administrator, to be frank. I worked with him. Then I was the exam officer, IJMB. And I could remember there is nothing that we will look for office use that he will not approve. And he's modest, he's transparent, and he's very frank. He moves from one office to the other to see what you are doing. He even asks you some questions if you have a problem. And one important thing I will remember about him is that even at the level of being the head of the institution, he even go to the classroom and teach. What he did at that particular period when he's a rector, I think he was able to excel because he has the thinking ability. And I could remember mostly he used committee to move the institution forward. He involved almost everybody. And he doesn't believe on hearsay. If there's any problem, he will set a committee. I could remember one day the academic board identified that there's a problem in Numan campus. The first thing he did was to set a committee. And the committee investigated and discovered that there's a real problem. And it was brought before him, and he was able to tackle this problem. And that was how he formed a formidable team to run this institution. And one thing I could remember is that he is very prudent. He manages resources very well. And anything that affects learning, he's ready to spend money on that. I could remember one of those things he's mostly interested in is that where your package is due for you, he will give you. You don't need to go and struggle. And in short, he's a leader that knows the benefit of good action. To be frank, I don't think I can identify any of his weaknesses, and because I work directly under him. That's why I gave you some indicators that he's absolutely transparent. Fortunately, he happened to be my neighbor, apart from being my rector. Yes, he was far. He was living behind. I was living behind his house, and at any point in time, we were always together. And even at the period he left as a rector, I remember there was one day we were discussing on the way. He told me, "Michelia, please continue with what you are doing. Continue with what you are doing." So I begin to understand why he's saying that. He is somebody who has a great personality. And being a mathematician, sacrificing all his time as an administrator to also be in the class, it's not being done by anybody at this present moment. And to be frank, he's very hardworking in terms of managing resources, both human and capital. So I wish him the best of his life and the best of everything. I told you earlier, he's my mentor. I've admired what he has been doing, and I've been copying from him in terms of managing human person.
How I wish I could get someone to tell my own testimonial like this, where someone would talk about you positively with such passion. How do you feel? That's Abubakar Michelia.
Yeah, when Jidda came to me to say whether there is somebody that can talk to me, I say, well, I can remember quite a number of lecturers there that I worked with, and I gave him some names. I didn't know it was Michelia he followed, because my belief is that when you are working, be honest and don't have some closets that you don't want others to know about. The moment you do that, you don't care who is interviewed about you. Even those who will say things they consider negative, maybe in that negative statement there is something somebody else has learned.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I don't think I was as good as they are saying. I know I have met quite a number in that place not to be happy with me because I insisted that things must be done in the way they don't want. And they have I know one of them once came to me, he said, Rector, I have to retire. I said, why? He said, I can't work with you. You are too straight.
So he's not comfortable working with someone that is very principled.
Yes. I said, but did I deny you any right of yours? He said, no, not the rights. I have not been, since I started work, I have not lived on my salary. You have made me to work and live on my salary. I said, did I tamper with your extra time after working hours? He said, no, not that one. Within the school, I should get something that I can benefit other than my salary. I said, well, if that is the legal thing, please go ahead with it. But if it is an illegal thing, I will never allow you. If you do it, I will sack you.
Now,
so he retired.
He finally retired?
Yes.
Now, let's look at the issue of togetherness, because at the end of this particular piece where we had Abubakar Mishelia did speak about you,
yeah.
I learned something. Abubakar Mishelia is a Muslim.
Yeah.
And when we finished discussing, I asked him, I said, how then would a Muslim speak of a Christian in this manner? And he said, it's not about religion.
No.
It's about the person's personality. The person that we're talking about is somebody that lived a good life, and there is no way he can maybe describe him less. Now, let's talk about the place of togetherness. What do you feel about what is going on in Nigeria today? It's like there is this huge divide between the Christians and Muslims, between other ethnic groups in Nigeria. Is that good for a nation like ours?
Well, it's an unfortunate situation, but that one is among the elites alone, you know. If you go to the rural area, you wouldn't know the difference between a Muslim and a Christian. They live happily, they share things together, and when you are appointed a leader, it is a serious weakness for you to discriminate that this one shares the same religion with me, let me treat him this way, and this one does not share the same religion with me, let me treat him the other way. That is not fairness. As a leader, you should look for what is this person's right. And whether he doesn't like you or he likes you, give him his right. You are not paying him for how he behaves towards you. You are paying him because it is his right. And if, for instance, you have a stubborn staff, but he does his work well, if something comes that he is supposed to benefit from, like a course, don't say he's too stubborn, I will not send him for a course. Because he's doing his job well, only that he's not towing the same line with you.
But you would agree with me that this is tearing apart the society in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why we have the question of insecurity placed as a front-burning issue in Nigeria.
Yeah, the politicians are doing that to manipulate, to maintain themselves in power. But I tell you, it will not be long. That method will be a dead issue.
Okay, I did put forward the issue of commercialization of education.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on that, definitely, but we'll still take a break and then we'll come back to do that particular analysis, how it has affected the education sector in the country. I have on set, my guest is Emmanuel Sabia. He was the past former rector of Adamawa State Polytechnic. Now, before that time out, I did say we're going to talk about commercialization of education.
Yeah.
But I want to still take you back a little bit before we come to that issue. Abubakar Mishelia said you are his role model.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Now, the question of role model was more seen in your days than today. Today, everyone, we tend to tilt to the other direction. Role models are seen in the likes of musicians, movie stars. This is what we are looking up to today. Is it that we, a young generation today, are misplacing what a real role model means, or it's just our own definition of what role model is?
Maybe the definition, because I know you as a media man will not look for a role model among the musicians. You will look for a role model among the journalists, those who have done very well in journalism, and those who have done your type of journalism that you appreciate. And if you are trying to live by that person's principles, he's your role model. Okay. So I don't think a lot has changed. The musicians are looking for role models among musicians. Teachers will be looking for role models among teachers.
But we see a lot of young whiz kids and Davido amongst the young generation, especially when you go to the four walls of tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Yeah. The ass down is becoming a culture. Some kind of mohawk hairstyles is becoming a culture. This is what we see in the society. But is that good for the image of the society in Nigeria?
Yeah, but to be fair to young people, even in our days, we have those funny people who bob their hair somehow.
So
even in our days, there was people like that. Our problem in Nigeria is we don't see the good part of us. We see more of the negative part of us than the positive part.
Right.
In every society, you have the deviants, you have the conformists. And we still have conformists.
Okay.
And we still have deviants. The only difference is that in our days, we were few. Nigeria was only 45 million.
Today we have well over
Now we are well over 170.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the number has gotten enlarged. And one thing media is pumping into people's head without them knowing is that you don't report good things. You report only bad things. Look at a 1 hour news. Most of the 80% will be the bad things that happen in the society. And 20% is the positive thing that has happened. So you are molding the mind of people. So you in the media should be more positive than you are. Then people will start thinking positive.
Even while we try to do that with some certain programs, give and take, we're doing our best to really mold the society in the direction that it should go. Now, let's talk about commercialization of education.
Yeah.
Now, we know that it has brought about proliferation of the sector. We've seen new schools emerge. Some they call like university, they'll call them glorified secondary schools. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of challenges that has come with the issue of commercialization of education. Low teacher performance, and then even recently on news, it's been said that private school encourage exam malpractices a lot in schools. Now, if as an educator, looking at the current practices that is going, do you think there is a future for Nigeria's education?
Yeah. You see, any road that a society chooses to follow, they'll get to a point. Either they will realize that this road is taking us nowhere, we better change, or the road will finish. The road will terminate, so they have to come back. Right now in Nigeria, Naira is what everybody is chasing. We have gotten blinded. We hear people say, nowadays if you have no Naira, you are not considered anything. I don't believe that. But right now you cannot tell Nigerians, don't chase this Naira. I think what the government should do is to find a way of chasing Naira the wrong way. They should check anybody who chases Naira the wrong way should get punished. But that thing is not happening.
Or do we declare the education sector a state of emergency? Would that be a solution? I
have not seen any state of emergency declared that has helped. So in education, it was once declared, I didn't see any change. You see, these schools that we are talking about, they get approval from ministries of education. The people that are supposed to maintain standard of education. They go there and inspect the premises and they approve it. And if you go by the education law of this country, such places cannot be approved as schools. So, but what is happening is the Naira that is dictating So the man who has established a school he believes is not a school is ready to part with some money so that he will be allowed to continue earning more money illegally without giving education.
Right now I'm running out of time, but let me quickly get your take on this. You've made Adamawa State Polytechnic a model. Everyone prides himself, especially if you have, if you attend that university right now. Sorry, Polytechnic. A lot of people pride themselves, and it's a pride for the state itself. Now, what did you do, briefly, just share with us, to transform that Polytechnic to a model today that everyone celebrates?
I didn't do anything special. I only I administered the school by the rules. The school is established by an edict, okay? And then within the school, rules and regulations were developed. Student behavior is there controlled by the student handbook and the rest of things. And I made sure that these rules are followed. If you tell me that something is not good, table it, we discuss it. If we find that your own is better than the law that is already existing.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on the news. My name is Peter Cheman. The military is to intensify its mop-up of the remnants of Boko Haram fighters after calling it a day on the anti-terror war. And is focusing on post-conflict repairs of destroyed infrastructure in the northeast. The military on December 22nd last year captured Kamzaro, Boko Haram's headquarters inside Sambisa Forest, killing several fighters. According to Major General Leo Erabo, Theater Commander Operation Lafia Dole, the Boko Haram survivors fled in disarray in different directions. The army has since occupied the major part of Sambisa Forest and the former headquarters of Abubakar Shekau, the leader of Boko Haram. People living with disability in Adamawa State have commended the developmental programs of Governor Mohammed Jibrila and reminded him of his promises made through the association. The chairman of the Association of People Living with Disability, Abubakar Husari, spoke on Monday in Yola during their New Year celebration. Gotel's Gibson's Adigo reports.
This is a display of ability and disability. Their physical state has never hindered God's ability in them. Celebrating the new year in a special way, people living with disability gathered at their secretariat to begin the new year with celebration. It was also a moment they all met to discuss issues that relate to the association. Abubakar Jibrila is their special guest for the New Year celebration. As part of his contribution, he brought a cow and paid for the food consumed at the celebration.
Any reasonable human being in this world, I think if you see the way things are going, the difficulties people are facing in this world, especially this region, the disabled people are really facing serious challenges. So I think whenever God has done something to you, I think it's good we should remember them. And then we should bring them very close to us and celebrate New Year with them, and Salah and Christmas as well.
The union expects Governor Mohammed Jibrila to fulfill his promises he made to the association and thank Abubakar Jibrila for making the event colorful.
The person who is Alaji Abubakar Umaru Jibrila, who is having very good relationship with people living with disability, and this is showing the example that he's calling or they want to do people so that they can take example from him to visit the people living with disability time to time, so that the people living with disability will free that they have very good relationship with the society or people in the community.
Celebrating the new year during recession is not easy, Food Association. Gibson's Adigo, gotel news.
Concerned Nigerians have urged the federal government to promptly address the present economic recession and end suffering this year. An immediate end to the recession is at the top of what the people expect of the government as 2017 unfolds. Gotel Gibson's Adigo reports.
A new year with new expectations. 2016 was described as a difficult year for the masses. A year they won't forget in a hurry. It was the year food prices doubled in the market. Petroleum products moved from 84 naira per litre to 145 naira. Malnutrition heated up in IDP camps in the northeast. Retrenchment in the public sector, shutdowns, corruption, unemployment and political crisis. The matter worsened with economic recession and the suffering became more biting. All these are expected to be addressed by the federal government.
Government should take some emergency arrangement in the interim 2017 so that food will be stable to Nigerians, cheap, available constantly. Then they will appreciate the insecurity problem that has been solved 90% now. Then they will appreciate the anti-corruption crusade. And then when you give people food, basic food requirement, you are solving 50% of the health problems of the nation.
The problem here is that it's not the issue of policies. It is the issue of implementing them and letting them give Nigerians the gains they need. Are we ready for that? Are we going to do that in 2017?
You have asked the masses to be sacrificial, they are sacrificed. You have asked the masses to be patient. Now let us see the results. Let us begin to eat the benefits of the patience which we've given. We've given the government understanding. The masses have given the government understanding. They've made all the necessary sacrifices. Now we want to see the practical benefits, the tangible results of our patience.
It is also expected of the National Assembly to enact laws that will caution the impact of suffering on the masses. Nigerians are of the view that last year, National Assembly concentrated on making laws that are only beneficial to them.
They should provide laws in conjunction with the executive. There should be a meeting between the executive and the legislature at national level to produce how they can provide certain laws, at least temporary palliative laws that can allow the importation or whatever measure the government feels of food. Food should be made available so much in the country to beat down the price of food.
Nigerian Labour Congress has described 2016 as the toughest and most difficult in the last 30 years, especially for workers. However, it was not all bad in 2016. The fight against corruption and insurgency scored President Muhammadu Buhari's administration high.
We are all wishing nothing should go wrong with this regime. It's a blessing from God, just Buhari and his administration. So all of us should support the regime. And we are doing all our best at local level.
In his New Year message, the president promised Nigerians brighter days as 2017 unfolds. Gibson's Adigo, gotel news.
The government of Niger says Mina Airport can serve as alternative following plans to close down Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja for rehabilitation in February. A statement by Jonathan Vassa, the State Commissioner for Information, Culture and Tourism on Monday in Mina, stated that Mina Airport was the closest to Abuja. According to the Commissioner, the Niger government is ready to assist federal government to make Mina Airport an alternative for the period Abuja Airport will be closed. He said that Mina Airport had the requisite facilities and manpower to serve as trusted alternative to the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja, adding that the state was also known as one of the most peaceful in the country. He added that conversion of Mina Airport for the purpose will also reduce the suffering of travelers. Nigeria has made to level 3 in the implementation of the State Safety Program SSP process, which places it among world leaders in aviation safety. Nigeria is now at par with countries like the United States of America and the United Kingdom, who are already in this category. SSP is an integrated set of regulations and activities aimed at improving aviation safety, which will be monitored through Universal Safety Oversight Audit Program (USOAP) Continuous Monitoring Approach (CMA). After such a state has achieved an effective implementation (EI) of over 60%. It is required that states that have achieved EI levels of over 60% should endeavor to fully implement SSP by 2019. Among international civil aviation organizations, ICAO member countries in compliance with the organization's requirements has contained in Annex 19 of safety management. It was learned that ICAO tracks the SSP implementation process of member states via its integrated safety trend analysis and reporting system. On our top stories of 2016, we reported extensively on the impact of Boko Haram activities on the socio-economic lives of the displaced communities of Adamawa State. And in one of such reports, Sharif Al-Hassan highlighted on babies of recession.
But abandoned by their father due to the harsh economic reality. Babies of recession, you might say. 25-year-old Mariam Mohammed gave birth to these triplets at home. Her husband abandoned her months after a scan shows that she was carrying triplets. Shortly after delivery, Mariam took ill and had to be admitted at the specialist hospital, Yola. Her swollen body is a testament of her condition, and the chances of her baby's survival is slim, due to lack of food supplement needed to breastfeed her triplets.
Matsaloli na dai ban da shi, kuma ina cikin rashin lafiya, kuma yara abun da za su sha madara babu, kuma ba mu da karfin saya. Abun da ya dace in ci, kuma tun da na aihun nan gaskiya ban ci ba, ina son taimako.
Mrs. Selin Danaba, a nurse taking care of Mariam in the hospital, says food shortage might hamper the growth of Mariam's babies.
As you can see, even to take care of a single baby is a problem nowadays, talk less of triplets. So these mothers, if possible, they need assistance from NGOs or the government, because it is difficult to handle triplets.
Look now. Yeah, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Don't cry again. Don't cry. It's okay. Right now, wow.
Patience David lives in the same neighborhood with Mariam along Bauchi Street, Nasarawa, Jimeta. Though her triplets are 4 months old, but life has been difficult taking care of the babies at a time when no one seems to be smiling because of the economic crunch.
It's very difficult for us because as I deliver this kid, it's very difficult even to buy pampers or milk, all these things. Food itself is very expensive. When you go market to buy rice, buy yam, they will tell you this one is 5,000, this one is 10,000. You don't know what to do. We just be managing just like that. That is how we are doing it since then. Then they reach 2 months, we start doing them this dawa account, because there is no enough money to be continue with milk every day like that. That is what we are using to them.
For now, Mariam and Patient's triplets, effective growth depends on the food they eat to breastfeed their babies. But it remains that they are babies of recession, and the parents will have to cope with the situation for now. Sharif Al-Hassan, gotel.
Another challenge that caught our attention in 2016 was the plight of disabled people and the absence of facilities to make life bearable to them. Gotel's Gibson Saadigo has that report.
Visible but invisible in the mind of planners, an estimated 10% of every population is likely to be disabled, and yet people with disability are always forgotten. Falima Vanko was hit by polio at the age of 2. her big office is a big mountain, but work must go on. As an information officer with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Falima will always report to work despite the challenge of having to climb the staircase. Luckily for her, she has colleagues that will always give her a helping hand to enable her reach some of the offices that will require using the staircase.
For me to go up stairs and come down is a challenge, because even a normal person, for him to climb up is a problem. To talk more of a person with a wheelchair.
While Falima Vanko battles to climb the staircase in her office, Abubakar Osere's life experiences as a disabled person is a diary of different stories. His worst moments are when he visits the ATM and ends up disclosing his number to a third party. He says this is a challenge for the people living with disability across Nigeria.
Consider with the building that they are building under the government, especially the school. People affected by polio, when they come to school, no way to enter that school without helping or guide or assistance. What we need with physical challenge, let us move our mobility by ourselves, not only to have another assistant again.
Abubakar Osere has been using this car for the past 10 years without any problem. He so wished that public buildings and installed machines would be as smooth as his car, so that physically challenged people, particularly in Adamawa State, will be able to access the facilities without obstacles. These sets of people are not considered when public structures are raised, which include banks, schools, markets, places of worship, amongst others. Their worst nightmare is when they cannot access such places.
Not only in the office that we're having challenges, in some banks we're having some challenges. For you to go into the bank is a problem to you, and most especially ATMs. ATMs are too high for a physical challenge.
But they are fulfilled anytime they visit the Federal Medical Center Yola or at their secretariat, because the architects remember them on their building plans.
This is an example where the physical challenge can move at any time without any help or any aid.
That's easier for someone with wheelchair that can pass through, except in a hospital. That's the only place that I can remember that have this ramp.
We try as much as we could, right from the exception when the hospital is being designed, to be able to accommodate virtually all kinds of patients. And so you see, it is one thing to have the disability, having access road, facility to be able to take them where they could. It is also another to have even our staff moving certain things easily.
They hope the situation is not a case of out of sight, it's out of mind. Gibson Adigo, Gotel News.
And now we'll take a very short break. Gotel News, we'll be right back.
The anchor's desk is a big responsibility, and when I sit on that desk, I'm in charge. When all the reporters do all of their work and bring it back to the newsroom, it falls to me to make sure that you get the news as it is. When I get those news scripts, I go through every line to make sure everything is just right. And I work with my production team, the MCR, the director, to make sure we bring to you the best news show every night. In my next life, I want to be a news anchor.
Welcome back. On Monday, heavily armed policemen stormed the Aminu Kano Center for Democratic Research and Training, Mambaya House, Kano, and disrupted an event organized by Kwankwaso Foundation. Kwankwaso said they were forced to shift the event to Lugard House, a house owned by Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the founder and leader of the movement. He explained that the event was organized to honor some of the students sponsored by Kwankwaso-led government to study abroad under the 2011-2015 education program. Also commenting on the development, the factional chairman of All Progressives Congress, APC in the state, Umar Haruna Dogwa, said the ban was constitutional and that they will not accept it anymore. The police in Niger State have announced the arrest of 21 suspected cattle rustlers and kidnappers terrorizing residents across the state. The spokesman of the command, DSP Bala Al-Kalla, said this in a press statement on Monday in Mina. Al-Kalla said the command also recovered 477 cattle, 90 sheep and various dangerous weapons from the suspects. The suspects will be charged to court as soon as investigation is completed. Al-Kalla assured residents that the command was adopting proactive measures to end the activities of cattle rustling, kidnapping, and other forms of criminal activities in the state. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says that there are new things he knows that people don't know about the Russian hacking. He promised that the information will be revealed on or before Wednesday. Speaking outside his Palm Beach, Florida, during a New Year party, Trump, who expressed lingering skepticism about the intelligence assessment of the Russian interference in the election, cast his declarations of doubt as an effort to seek the truth when asked what he knew that others did not. Trump says Americans will find out soon. The incoming president, who does not use email, also advised people to avoid computers when dealing with delicate material. The comments were a departure from a statement that Trump issues through transition officials last week, in which he said that it was time for people to move on from the hacking issue, but that he will be briefed on the matter by intelligence officials early in the new year on Thursday. President Barack Obama ordered a set of retaliatory measures against Russia over the election hacking, including expelling 35 Russian diplomats. The Russian President Vladimir Putin declined to respond in kind to the measures, a gesture that Trump appeared to view favorably. 50 inmates have died in a prison riot in Brazil, security authorities in the northwestern state of Amazonas say. Several of the victims were decapitated, said Security Secretary Sergio Fontes. The slaughter took place on Sunday in the Anicio Jobim prison in the northern city of Manaus, when rival groups of prisoners attacked each other. 12 prison guards were taken hostage. Security forces regained control of the prison on Monday. Dozens of residents of occupied Mosul in Iraq have fled their homes in the wake of a new campaign by Iraqi forces battle to retake the city from armed rebels in the latest push by Iraqi forces to seize the northern city from the armed group. Families have escaped their houses for the first time in days. There are thought to be 1 million people still living in Mosul. Mosul residents have been told to remain indoors until the Iraqi military controls the whole city, which will take up to 3 months, according to Iraqi's Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi. The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria has signed a memorandum of understanding with a security system firm with a view to improving production of its military hardware with special emphasis on local content. Speaking at the official signing of the MOU at Deacon headquarters in Kaduna, the Director General of the corporation, Major General Bamidele Ogunkale, said the initiative is aimed at repositioning the corporation to a greater height. He described the signing of the MOU as the beginning of a robust relationship where due process has been followed, leading to joint venture agreement. The chief executive officer of the security company, an Israeli company, Amos Golan, while lauding the unflinching efforts of the DG, described Nigeria as a big nation with huge potentials that are not common in other nations within the continent of Africa. The Naira witnessed its worst year in history as it fell woefully against the United States dollar by 57.8% in the interbank and 84.2% in the parallel segments in 2016. The Naira began the year 2016 at 199.5 to a dollar at the interbank segment and ended last Friday at 315 per dollar. Similarly, at the parallel market, it began at 266 per dollar and ended at 490 per dollar. The currency remains unstable in the most part of the year due to the high demand of forex and short supply from international trade. The country's main source of forex, oil, remained weak, averaged at 49% per barrel of crude within the period. Also, the activities of the Niger Delta Avengers, which left several crude supply pipelines vandalized, brought down the production level to nearly 1 million barrels per day capacity. The Naira was not only the currency that witnessed setback against the dollar in 2016. The acting chairman of the Association of the Bureau de Change Operators, Aminu Gwadebi, said. He said even some major currencies such as the pound sterling and Chinese yuan suffered similar crises against the dollar through the Nigerian case, though the Nigerian case was different. The Central Bank of Nigeria sold about $1 billion on the forward market last week to clear a backlog of dollar obligations in selected sectors. The sale, according to traders, was the largest special auction since a currency peg was removed in June 2015. The outstanding dollar demand was about $4 billion before June 2015, when the 16-month-old peg was removed. Efforts to cut dollar demand has been largely unsuccessful due to low oil prices, which impacted forex earnings, as crude sales accounted for about 90% of the forex inflow. Traders disclosed that the central bank had instructed banks to prioritize airlines, manufacturing firms, petroleum products importers, and the agriculture sectors in the auction. Traders said the central bank sold 30-day and 60-day forwards at the auction on December 19. CBN instructed commercial lenders to submit their backlog of dollar demands from fuel importers, airlines, raw materials and machinery for manufacturing firms, and agricultural chemicals for the special forest intervention. And that's the news on this hour. Thank you very much for joining us. Join us at the top of the hour for another update. My name is Peter Chema.
Allah gafara kai da mutum Allah ka kusa ka bani tsoro wallahi.
To kai in banda hauka me naka na ka zo ka sa haske a waje.
Allah ba masa amin. Kaga mun za mu ci kuɗin gonakin mutane. Alƙur'an.
Ta ga wata kalma ta turawa.
Kai da guduma. Me nake hange can?
A ina?
A kai. A. Kai. Fatalwa ce ba.
Kai.
Wallahi fatalwa ce.
Me?
Alƙur'an fatalwa ce.
Ban guri na. Kana ina. Wallahi. Waya.
Ji da Allah sai ka ce yara kattun banza da kuku rika gudu kuma da daddare.
Wai ana. Wai. Fatalwa jama'a.
Look at it. Fatalwa me kuma? For how long? Yau shekara nawa? Amma lokacin mutane suna yeah? Why? Wanki.
Showing today on One Cube, Niger.
You're welcome to One Cube Niger. I'm so glad you made it for this time of fantastic stories, interviews, and great music. I am J to the E-N-N-I-F-E-R, Jennifer, and you're in for a beautiful experience. Starting the show today is Fredrock proclaiming his love for God in this groovy video featuring hip-hop rapper Tempo. Here's the video. I love you.
What you've done for me, see how your love is changing me. Made a way when I was in darkness. See you pick me up from cars. You made me the who I'll be, and all I'll be to you I bring my mind, my soul, my life. Seek your word like Richard Cypher. Wanna stop me, I kill her with a knife. Even if it takes my blood, my life. Yeah, I'm sold out for Jesus. Spend my time, my cheddar to place and tell it to the world so he can feel it. No more pain, no stress, no feeling. Bring your pain so he can heal him. Fred Rock is me, I see. One time, two times, more times, wanna say I love you. One time, two times, more times, wanna say I love you. I love you more. I love you more. I love you more. I say this life that I'm living is written in Bible pages. Now for the rise because of his love. Love me, he love me the way that I am. Rep for the most size more than a man. I rap on the street, I could rap in the church. The way that he loved me, nobody can touch. Psalm chapter 9 verse 8. Blessed man, I was born to be great.